everyone. I'm your host, Patty Giarrusso, and this is Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Today, we welcome back to the show Kathy Pobloskie from Lost Dogs of America. She is the co-founder of Lost Dogs of America and the director and founder of Lost Dogs of Wisconsin. And she joins us each month to discuss lost pet recovery methods and the importance of doing everything you can to keep your pet safe. And Pet Theft Awareness Day is coming up very soon, and it is meant to call attention to the importance of pet identification methods and ways to help educate pet owners in keeping their pets safe from thieves. So we thought it was a good opportunity to talk about this, and we're going to share some tips about keeping your pets safe. And Pet Theft Awareness Day reminds us and encourages the pet owners to take the necessary but easy steps that will ensure your animal's safety and security and help you as a pet owner have peace of mind. Welcome to the show, Kathy.
Thanks for having me, Patty. It's a great topic.
Yeah, so why don't you start talking about this? Because, we hear a lot of people say that, my pet was stolen, when in fact it really wasn't. And we don't like to hear that. So we want to talk about ways that, we can discourage that for one thing. And, what would you suggest as ways for people to keep an open mind about this particular topic and how to keep their pets safe, basically?
Yeah, that's great. So you're right. So we never say never. I mean, it's not that we've never had pets stolen, but we have had far fewer pets actually stolen than have been reported to us as stolen. So we always encourage everybody to keep a really open mind and not get tunnel vision when their dog goes missing, because often a dog that has been presumed stolen is actually just lost or was picked up by a Good Samaritan, which are different categories that we've talked about a lot in the past. Mm-hmm. But that being said, it is really important, and I like the word awareness, because I just think that is the key to making sure your pet doesn't get stolen, is to just be like hyper aware all the time of what's going on. And aware of your situation, aware of your surroundings, and making sure that you have done everything that you possibly can to make sure that nothing could happen, that nothing bad could happen. And so when we do have pets that are actually stolen, it was often a lack of oversight by the owner. And I hate to say that, and I hate to be judgmental, but it's a dog that was left unattended. And again, sometimes just really truly picked up by a Good Samaritan who didn't want to see the dog left somewhere. But when you leave a dog unattended, you are just kind of inviting trouble, whether it be somebody with basically good intentions or with somebody with bad intentions. So that would be number one on my list, is just always be aware of where your pet is. Don't leave them unattended, even for a minute if you can help it. Don't tie them up and then go into a store. Mm-hmm. Don't think that you're going to leave them in the car and just run in somewhere. And just be an invitation for something bad to happen. We're camping again. We camp a lot, and we're camping again right now. And so I'm just hyper vigilant with our little dogs. Not that, certainly not, people in campgrounds are basically dog lovers, and almost everybody has a dog. But it would be super easy for somebody to drive through this campground and scoop up a whole bunch of dogs if they wanted to, because so often people have just left them outside. Not loose, but they've left them out on some sort of a tie-out, and they're in their trailer doing something, and there's the dog unattended outside. And absolutely, if your dog is, if it is picked up by a Good Samaritan who doesn't want to see harm come to it, then having that collar and tags, the visible ID that we always talk about, is so, so important, because it's much more likely that then they're going to assume that you are a good person and you do care about your dog, and make sure that it gets back to you. I know that if a dog is truly stolen, somebody can just take the collar and tags off. And then the important thing, of course, is having the microchip. And so that there is some hope that you will get your dog back at some time.
Yeah. I was thinking, we've had a lot of missing Yorkies in the last week, and it seems odd,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I always think if there's a particular breed that is missing, that, you know, there's somebody out there that has people that want them, unfortunately. So, you know, I don't ever understand how it happens so often. It seems like Yorkies are one of the most lost pets, or they've
Right.
got to be in the top 5 at
Right.
least. I mean,
Right.
they're easy to scoop up. They're something somebody would want to keep. You
Right.
know, I don't know, but I imagine if somebody didn't keep them, which I guess is theft because in every state it is personal property, a pet is, so it would be theft if somebody kept
Yeah.
them without the intention first. But people do think leaving their pet unattended means that it's not a good owner either, I guess.
Yes. Yes. And so, like, here's my thought on like the Yorkies. So they're very common. So that can sort of skew the perception of the numbers a little bit because they are so common that just proportionately that many more of them go missing. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like labs and golden retrievers. You know, it always seems like
Mm-hmm.
there's just a gazillion of those that go missing, but they're a super popular dog. So I think you have to take that into consideration. That I think Yorkies are definitely within the top 10, maybe within the
Mm-hmm.
top 5 of the most
Yeah.
popular breeds. And then they're terriers. So they
Mm-hmm.
behave like terriers, even though they're little and cute. They tend to follow their nose a lot. And so if you just, don't attend to them for a moment, they can be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think of like, okay, of another terrier, a small terrier, like the Jack Russell, so the difference there is that Jack Russells are not as common as Yorkies, and they tend to have far more distinguishing markings than a Yorkie, so they don't tend to all look alike.
Yeah.
Um, so when they go missing, it's usually a little bit easier to track them down because if they end up in a shelter, they're easier to match up.
Mm-hmm.
Yorkies are very difficult because they all tend to look alike,
Yeah.
um, and and they just follow their little nose and off they go. And the people might say, "Oh, my dog has never done that before." And maybe they never have, but we still have to remember that they're a terrier. We say that about dachshunds too. They're a hound, and so even though you don't think of them as a hound and like the traditional beagle or basset hound or coon hound, they're a hound, and so they behave like a hound, and their nose takes them away, but luckily their nose will often bring them right back. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
terriers have such a high prey drive that sometimes their nose takes them away, they're off chasing something, and then they get into some mess of trouble somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and they fall into something and drown, or they get stuck somewhere. I can't count how many terriers we've had that have gotten stuck somewhere, or Yorkies that have gotten stuck somewhere, excuse me. And, the owners cannot believe that their cute little Yorkie with the little bows in their ears would have ever possibly done that.
I know they are, honestly, we have more. I think we seem to have so many of them that just basically disappear, you know.
Right.
And they were the two of one of our longest lost that were reunited, thankfully, due to their microchips. They got
Mhm.
away from whoever had kept them, probably found them and kept
Mhm.
them and never scanned them. And 5 years later on one, and 3 years later on
Wow.
another one, they were found again. But I imagine some of them are taken and sold.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and so,
Yes.
if somebody thought their pet was truly stolen,
Mhm.
and maybe they have more than just, they believe that that's what happened, because a lot of people just say, oh, somebody took my dog, not uh, just accepting responsibility, I think, for a mistake, or accidents happen. They happen to all of
Yeah.
us. It's happened to me, with the gate left open once. But what would you suggest are the necessary and proper steps for someone to take if truly they believe? Because we had a post as an example the other day. The lady actually it was pending. We did not approve it because she posted a picture of the woman that she said took her dog. And I responded to her that in a case like this, you need to, make a police report. And I didn't really get into too much with her because she had all the details, other than, this is not a lost pet at this point. So we're not going to post it as a lost pet. So what are the steps that you would tell people, to do?
To do? Well, you said the number one thing there would be to file that police report. That's what we always suggest first. And that helps also just to create the paper trail. The police may or may not be helpful. It just kind of depends on the police department. But at least you're starting to create a paper trail that could help you in the future if you had to file a civil lawsuit to get your pet back or something like that. So that's really, really important. Then the next thing that we always tell people to do is think long and hard about who close to you may have done it. Because I would say, first of all, very few of our cases are actually stolen. And then of the ones that are stolen, the majority of those have been stolen by somebody known to the person. So I always kind of attribute it. It's kind of a little bit like people, homicides with people. It's usually somebody known to the person. So I always try to say, I don't want you to think badly of people that you're close to or whatever, but really think about it. Could it be a disgruntled spouse or ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or other family member? That's number one by far and away. Or so, there's been a breakup and the ex decides that they want the dog, or they want to get back at the person and they're going to take the dog, and then sometimes just take it to a shelter, 100 miles away, not because they really wanted the dog, but because they wanted to get even, settle a score. Could it be a disgruntled employee or contractor or someone that you owe money to that might then think that they're going to take your dog not only to get back at you, but to try to recoup some of the losses of their loss or the money that you owe them? Or sometimes it's an unhappy neighbor or an unhappy animal welfare. I want to say advocate, but it's really not a very good advocate when they do this. But somebody who is zealous about animal welfare, who perhaps disagrees with how you care for your dog. So if you leave your dog outside with a dog house and they don't like that, they may think that they're doing your dog a favor by coming and taking it. Or you've got a dog that's left outside and barks incessantly. An unhappy neighbor might think, okay, well, I'll take care of the situation and just relieve you of your dog. Whether they do something evil to it or whether they just take it to a shelter or give it to somebody or put it in what they consider is a better home. We've certainly had all of those situations happen.
Yeah, I didn't think of some of those things you just mentioned, but it makes sense. Yeah, thinking just as if you're watching a TV show and how do they go about, the first suspects, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so then once, so the random acts of stealing are really not that common. But if it was, then you're going to start doing the things like asking every one of your neighbors to check their security cameras. Maybe somebody's got a image or a video of what happened. And we're finding that more and more common. I mean, just great. These Ring doorbells and things that are picking up images are just super great. And then, of course, flyering, getting the word out as quickly as possible so that somebody that may have seen something or saw something that didn't seem right will trigger their memory